So in light of the whole Donald Trump banning Muslims thing going on, the discussion is still out there. I read an article that somebody referred me to that I think nails it. It's not really about Muslims. It's not really about immigration. It's about our willingness as a country to accept a fascist regime. And I'll show you how we get there. First and foremost, give credit where credit is due. Jake Fuentes is the one that wrote the original article that I was like, holy smokes, he's exactly right. You look at the steps that we're taking with this particular executive order. It is more extreme than anything they had talked about, so that they could then have room to roll back and say, well, we'll let the Christian refugees in. Okay, well, we'll let those who have the green cards back in. I want to make a point, though, first and foremost, to my friends who are saying, it's not really a Muslim ban. All right, look, if you've got a pile of M&Ms, you've got red ones, blue ones, green ones, yellow ones, orange ones, brown ones. I don't know what other colors there are anymore. I don't really like M&Ms, but point is, you issue an order, I want all the greens and yellows kept out. So now you take all the greens and yellows out and you say, okay, the greens can come back in. What do you have left over? This is what has happened. Basically, yes, he's allowing those who are to come back through the ban who are of a minority religion in these 7 Muslim nations. This is something that needs to be understood, that if you have an exclusion, then it's a ban. However you want to word it, okay? That's just simple logic. We'll work through it together. It's no big deal. Now let's move on to the other part. The rollback. This is all part of a pattern that you see in history. Somebody steps forward and pushes further than they thought they could get in the first place. People are like, oh, no. There's a little pushback. And you pull back to what you actually wanted in the first place. Some would call it a business negotiation. Some would call it a kind of a Saul Lewinsky kind of whatever. You get where I'm going, right? Saul Lewinsky. Did I say his name right? Anyway, it is a type of negotiation that basically depends on people getting upset about what you did, so that when you pull back, it looks like you're being reasonable. The real issue, however, they were expecting the court challenges. They were expecting there to be not just lawsuits, but probably a judge stepping in and saying, no, you cannot. I mean, the fact that the attorney general did it and gave him an opportunity to fire her early, I'm sure was just a kind of a bonus. The point is this. What about all those who were loyal to the president and continued to enforce the ban, and apparently are still continuing to enforce the ban despite the court orders to not? This is what it comes down to. This is where the fascist regime part comes in that I mentioned. If you've got a group of people who are willing to enforce an order without the rule of law, regardless of what the court system says, then what you've got is an unstoppable force of thugs. And I mean, that's what it is, right? I don't ever want to be put in a position where I can be ordered to do something where I'm going to be hurting somebody else. That's one of the reasons I left my service in the Army behind. I don't criticize you if you're in a position like that. You know, you have to do what you have to do for your family. But I want you to consider for just a moment, if you get an order to do something that violates a moral belief that you have, don't you have a duty to not obey that order? And the fact here that we already have judges stepping in and saying, you cannot enforce this ban, and they're refusing to obey the judge because they got an order from the president. That's very troubling. And if it's not troubling to you, then I'd like you to write me an email right now and tell me what exactly about it is right. I want you to tell me where in the Constitution or in the Bible or in whatever authority that you are claiming for this, it says that one man can make up law and have other people follow it, no questions asked. Tell me where it is, and I'll engage the conversation with you. If we're not careful with this, we could find ourselves in a full-blown lockdown, not just with immigration, but with anything at all that this president or any future presidents want to do. That's my 2 cents. Love to engage you. Send me an email, steve@radiofreespeech.com. If you like what I'm doing, support me either by buying a subscription at radiofreespeech.com or by becoming a patron at Patreon. Thanks very much.